environment for every family member. Check the website at batstoRats.com for amazing offers. And if you mention this ad, you'll receive $10 off your initial inspection cost. Call Bats to Rats today at 402-781-8691. That's 402-781-8691. Bats to Rats.
Your home is your empire. Protect it with Empire Fence. Get a free instant quote with the online estimating tool at empire-fence.com. See an upfront estimate with no hidden fees. An Empire Fence can provide privacy and improve the appearance of your home. Keep kids and pets in or out of your yard. Increase security and add value to your property. Visit empire-fence.com now to view the stylish and maintenance-free possibilities for your home and get a free instant online quote. Let Empire Fence protect your empire.
Are you tired of living in pain? It's time to take control. At Prairie Orthopedic and Plastic Surgery, we're your one-stop shop for expert care in Lincoln. From broken bones to complex reconstruction, our skilled team will help you get back on track. Visit prairieortho.com today and discover why we're the trusted choice for thousands of patients. Don't let pain hold you back. Take the first step towards a better, pain-free life with Prairie Orthopedic and Plastic Surgery, where healing begins. Call 402-489-4700.
Drinking and driving causes serious harm to friends, family members, and loved ones. In 2021, 65 people were killed in Nebraska by a car crash involving a drunk driver. Do not drink and drive. By drinking less, you can still be here for your loved ones. If you or loved one is looking for help, find a treatment facility near you at findtreatment.gov. For immediate support, call, text, or chat 988.
Brought to you by Nebraska DHHS in partnership with SAMHSA.
Big box stores are tempting for buying equipment for your high schooler in sports or for yourself in your sports leisures. But buying new is awfully expensive. Why not go somewhere with new and used options? Play It Again Sports is quality, slightly to gently used equipment, and 50% of their inventory is actually new equipment. And it's more than baseball, softball, and golf. They also have equipment for disc golf, fitness, hockey, and more. Plus, they're always buying products. Bring your gear you're done with and get trade money on the spot. Play It Again Sports at 48th and Vine.
With the Planet Fitness Black Card, you don't just get a great workout, you get a great perk out because your membership is packed with perks. For $1 down and $24.99 a month, you'll get perks like access to any of our 2,400 clean and spacious locations. Bring your friend anytime and both work out with tons of equipment that'll give you that big fitness energy. Relax in the Black Card spa and more. Work out and perk out with the PF Black Card. Join for just $1 down and $24.99 a month.
Hurry, this deal ends soon.
See Home Club for details.
This is Adam Carricker on the ticket.
Position right of the quarterback out of the shotgun, first and 20. Jailbreak screen in the air. It is tipped. It is intercepted by Carricker at the Missouri 21-yard line.
Live from the heart of America, 8-year NFL vet and All-American defensive lineman Adam Carricker.
Shotgun snap to Everett. He's got the left arm going, and now he's got a whole lot of Adam Carricker who rips him down inside the 25-yard line.
On 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com. Here's your host, Adam Carricker.
Welcome, everybody, in to Adam Carricker on the ticket. Hope you've had a good week so far, heading into a good, solid Easter weekend. Hopefully you're enjoying your good Friday as well. Hopefully it's a good Friday, no matter what's going on in your life. All right, ladies and gentlemen, got a fun show today, a loaded show, the fastest hour in radio. All right, each and every day here on 93.7 The Ticket. Join me from noon to 1 p.m. Central Time, Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday. I'm live on Monday, Fridays. We got the Carricker Chronicles Big Ten Show Tuesday, Thursdays, and All-American quarterback Steve Taylor every Wednesday from noon to 1 p.m. Central Time. Noon to 1 p.m. Central Time. It's an absolutely loaded hour, the fastest hour in radio each and every day, ladies and gentlemen, here on 93.7 The Ticket. Grab your lunch. Come join us. Have a good time. All right. Here's what's on the docket for today. Quarterbacks. Spring football started. About the quietest beginning to a spring football I think I've ever seen. All right, so we're going to talk freshman quarterbacks here. Talk a little bit about what Matt Rhule had to say. If you haven't heard yet, I will share it with you fine folks at home. I'll also, if you have heard it, I'll give you my thoughts on his thoughts on the freshman quarterbacks so far. Also, Heinrich Haarberg, can't forget about him. You know, he's the only guy with any actual starting experience in that room. All right, then we're also going to talk other Husker sports really quickly. I love that there are other Husker sports doing so well. I love that I get the chance to talk about them. So we're going to talk about some of the successes of some of the other Husker programs as well. Deion Sanders, Coach Prime time, baby. He's not very happy with his Colorado Buffaloes during their spring practices right now. Well, I don't want to say I don't care because I care. But I'm just getting enjoyment out of it. I love it. The more I see videos of him yelling and getting mad and them going at each other, makes me happy. All right, just thrills me to the gills. All right. Also, there's this thing still going on called the NCAA tournament. We got the men's playing. We got the women playing. All right, we had some games last night. North Carolina goes down. Their starting five was almost as old as the Oklahoma City Thunder's starting five. That's crazy to me. Couldn't get it done last night. They had a really solid season. If you're a North Carolina fan, you always want them to go to the Final Four every year, so maybe you're not completely thrilled, but they lost to Alabama. Okay, and we got some NCAA tournament games tonight. But don't forget to tune in right here, at 12:30. Right here at 12:30, I will be joined by a former Husker great, a Nebraska Football Hall of Famer, two-time All-Big 8 performer, and Nebraska's current governor, Mr. Jim Pillen. We are going to be – now, I've interviewed him a couple of times, and Ann, the lady I always chat with to set up the interviews, always very nice. Her first question, and she knows the answer, but she has to ask because she knows I'm going to talk Husker sports. I'm going to talk Husker football. That's what I'm going to do, current of like national sports as well. She goes, all right, Adam, you're going to talk about the tax stuff? No, we're not. Okay, we're not. We're going to talk Husker football. We're going to talk. I'm going to ask him about Trev leaving. I'm going to ask him about the leadership. I'm going to ask him about the new AD, the hiring process, Troy Dannen. We're going to talk about, a little bit of his playing days. They beat number 1 Oklahoma. Took Coach Osborne 6 tries to get it done as a head coach. The man I'm going to bring on at 12:30 is the man who recovered the game-winning fumble to beat Oklahoma in Memorial Stadium. Number 1 Oklahoma, Billy Sims, Heisman Trophy winner, had that fumble. Jim Pillen picked it up. Those are things we're going to talk about today. All right, ladies and gentlemen, let's start off talking about Coach Matt Rhule and the freshman quarterbacks. All right, so Matt Rhule on the freshman quarterbacks, maybe a little bit of wide receivers, a little bit of defense look ahead as well, a little bit of running back talk as well. Just kind of introduce spring football. Somehow it's not been talked about that much, which I think is actually indicative of a couple of things. Number one, I don't know. Our AD just left and we hired a new one. That seems to be a big deal. Number two, there's a lot of other Husker sports that are doing really, really well. If other sports aren't doing good, people are going to fall back to football. The fact that other sports are doing so well means that spring football has had kind of a quiet introduction. So we're going to emphasize the quarterbacks today, maybe talk about a few other things as well, but let's light this candle. All right, Matt Rhule has talked about this offseason about, and I quote, the bright future, end quote, that these quarterbacks have, that Nebraska football has with these quarterbacks going at the helm here for the Huskers. All right. So here's what he had to say, and I quote, talking about Rhule, Dylan and Daniel Kalen have done a great job of preparing within the offense. I think they know what to do. They know where to go with the football. They're on time. They're savvy and they're smart. So I've been really, really pleased. You can see what a bright future they both have, end quote. Now, I got quite a few thoughts, okay? And so as I read what he said, he's going to say positive things, of course. Of course, that's what he's going to say. I do think there's truth behind them. Absolutely, 100%. I believe there's truth. But when I was writing down his quote, because I looked it up on the computer, but I wrote it down as opposed to printing it out. Because as I wrote it down, I would just casually underline things that stood out to me. Something that stood out to me, Dylan and Daniel Kalen have done a great job preparing within this offense. I think they know what to do. I underlined the words I think. Okay. Now, it's impossible to definitively say that they know what to do. Okay. Especially when it comes to game speed and full practice speed and all that stuff. Why? Because they haven't really done it yet. Certainly haven't gone to the ground yet in the practice, have not had a game speed yet. So that word, I think, there's always just going to be that until we start playing games in the fall because they're true freshmen. We don't have them on tape. We don't have them with this experience. Okay. Now, the other things that stood out to me, that's not a knock. That's just something. I literally just wrote this down. If something stood out to me, I underlined it. If it didn't, I just kept going. I didn't go back and reread it twice or anything. Okay. He said they're on time, they're savvy, they're smart, and they know what to do. So you got to start somewhere with young quarterbacks. If you can't draw it up on the whiteboard in the calm of a room with the coach who's there to help you out, you're in trouble. Sounds like they can do that. If you can't explain it when the coach asks you to do it verbally, you're in trouble. Sounds like they can do that. even doing walkthroughs on the field. It sounds like they can do it there. What they're going to need to get reps on. They're going to need to get reps full speed in practice. They're going to need to get reps without the pads on, which is how you always start out for the first 2 practices of spring. Then you go half pads, and you go pads eventually. Then you tackle. You got scrimmages, you got the spring game. Gradually, they're going to need to be able to do these things full speed. They're going to need to do it without the coach right there to help them out. They're going to need to do it when the other guy's not just going to run by, tag them off because he got the green jersey on. They're going to need to do it when they're being tackled to the ground, which may not happen all spring. That's fine. Although I do know Rhule had the quarterbacks live last spring game. I hope that's what he does again this year. And then they're going to need to do it when the opposition is not your friend, not your boy, and they're trying to rip your face off and wear that thing on Halloween because they're trying to destroy you because they're on the other team. I'm not saying anything that's revolutionary, but that is the process. That is how this goes. Not just for quarterbacks, for any position, for any young guy. We had freshmen that played and contributed largely on the defensive line last year. They went through the same progression. It just wasn't as deeply analyzed. The expectations weren't quite as high. This is going to be a lot more publicized, what's going on with these quarterbacks, for obvious reasons that are justified, I might add. I am just pointing out that I'm going to enjoy watching this process, watching these young men learn, watching them improve, watching them get better, watching them from practice to games, to, well, it's a spring game, which is a glorified practice, but with a lot of people watching highly analyzed practice, the most analyzed practice of the entire year, going into fall camp, going into actual live games and live game reps. So that is the progression. And so far, some of the things that have stood out this offseason that I have liked, that I underlined from this offseason, I've been waiting to share on the show, now's as good a time as any, is when Rhule has talked about how early they're getting to the facility and getting there at 6 a.m. and putting in the early work and putting in more work, and they're driven and they've got this desire. You know, Rhule, when you think about him specifically, when you watch him throw, when you watch the videos from him at practice the other day, he looks the part right now. He looks the part right now. And again, I already talked about the progression, how it's going to escalate. It's going to get tougher as you go along. That's just how it is. And I look forward to watching that, the improvement and the strides that are made throughout that process. He looks the part right now as you watch him throw, as you look at him physically. Okay. So he is an individual that obviously there's a lot of high expectations and people are excited to see what he can do. I think about some of the other guys in that quarterback room as well. One name that has not probably been talked about the least is Heinrich Haarberg throughout this offseason. Now, I've even talked about on shows that I've done on the Character Chronicles. Check that out, characterchronicles.com. Give my YouTube channel a subscribe if you're so inclined. If not, do it anyways. No, I'm just kidding. But Heinrich Haarberg is an individual that I watched very closely when he was a freshman. He had the biggest arm. He was the most impressive throwing the ball. And that was when I watched him. There was Adrian Martinez in that room. There were some other guys. I think Luke McCaffrey was still in that room. By the way, Luke McCaffrey is going to be joining me next week. All right. So that's an interview that I look forward to. And I'm going to ask him all the fun questions Husker fans have been wanting to ask him for years. To tune in next week for my interview with Luke McCaffrey. And then I watched a race between the quarterbacks. There was 4 at the end of that day. Now, if you looked at it size-wise, he was taller, probably outweighed all the other quarterbacks, except for maybe Adrian Martinez. Yet, Heinrich Haarberg won that race. And I pointed to that several times over the years on the Chronicles show. I said he's faster than people realize. And he had the big arm. Now, last year, he even ran faster in games than I thought he would. He was actually a running quarterback. And I've talked about him on the Chronicles shows throughout this year being a Swiss Army knife of sorts. If he doesn't earn the starting quarterback job, to reiterate, needs to be earned. All right? Because he's got that ability to run an offense. He has game experience. He can run the ball. He can come in and do things with his legs that Daniel and Rhule are not going to look to do. So he's a Swiss Army knife, okay, like a Taysom Hill for the Saints if he doesn't earn the starting quarterback job. What I'm curious to see is how is his mechanics. As a guy who threw a baseball growing up 95 miles an hour, threw a football 84. How do I know? Because I never could get 85. Made me mad. I always watch for the mechanics. His mechanics completely... He struggled last year throwing the balls because of his mechanics completely changing. And part of that's probably due to the fact that he wasn't even in a quarterback's room for an entire year or two under Scott Frost. And so his development didn't just stall out. He went backwards, noticeably backwards. And I don't know that's his fault. So for me, I'm curious to see, because he has to be addressing those mechanics this offseason. If they look the exact same, That's on the coaches and that's on him. If they look better, that's on the coaches and that's on him too. I want to see how his mechanics look because he can run an offense. He's got heart. I love watching him play. The question is the throwing. I'm going to talk about all three quarterbacks anytime I talk about quarterbacks this year because the job should be earned. You go to Nebraska football depth chart online, already slotted in as Dylan Rhule. Number 2 is Daniel Kalen. Number 3 is Harburg. Hey, the internet is what it is. It's all factually correct, right? Believe everything you read. There's no keyboard warriors whatsoever. All right. It's got to be earned, so I'm going to talk about all three. If he can improve his throwing motion, he will have a legit chance in this quarterback battle. Worst case scenario, he's Swiss Army knife, and he still makes a contribution. He can play other positions as well. You think about Daniel Kalen. Now, this is a guy that I've got to imagine is pretty motivated. He knew what he was getting into when he stayed committed to Nebraska, when Dylan Rhule committed, and he stayed committed, talking about Kalen. Dylan's getting all the headlines, getting talked about a lot. That's fine. That's what was expected. Nothing wrong with that. Just got to earn the job. That's all I'm saying. Got to be a legit quarterback battle. Got to earn the job. The headlines can be what they are. And they will be what they will be, and they are what they are, and that is what it is, as Greg Austin used to say, my former teammate, offensive line coach here at the University of Nebraska. I got to imagine he's feeling a little extra motivated as well, much like Harburg, much like Rhule has talked about Dylan Rhule is from what he's seen. I'm sure they all are. There's an interesting story from Nebraska's pro day. Maybe you heard it, maybe you haven't. Dylan and Daniel were in there throwing the ball around to all the guys running the routes, wide receivers. For the pro day, they need a quarterback to throw the ball to him, so Dylan and Daniel stepped in. Now, I was not there at the pro day. What I am told happened is that when it came time for the DBs to perform in the pro day and for balls to be thrown to them, Dylan turned around, and I don't know what Daniel did, but Dylan, from what I'm told, Dylan turned around, flipped the ball to Daniel Kalen and said, I don't throw interceptions. And then he was done for the day. Interesting story. I love the mentality. He only had one interception as a senior a year ago, 34 touchdowns to one interception. You want a 2-to-1 TD to interception ratio. 34-to-1 works. That'll do. We'll take that. No doubt about it. So this is a Nebraska quarterback battle that's going to be ongoing all off season. All right. So I said I was going to touch on some of the other positions for spring ball. I will either do that at the end of this show or on my live show on the day. Because I want to, like I said, I want to show love to all the Husker sports. Okay. And I've been doing it on social media. I love to do it here on this show as well. All right. So here's literally what I did. I went through my Twitter timeline and I screenshotted. If you're watching me on YouTube, you can see there's baseball, there's wrestling, and I'm just going to highlight some of these things. There's Nebraska women's basketball. Bowling was this morning. So I'm just going to shout out some of these teams and chat about them for a second. Nebraska baseball, 17-5 on the season. Second toughest SOS, strength of schedule in the country. They've won 7 games in a row. I look forward to talk about them more throughout this spring. They're a team that has looked good so far against some pretty good competition. Next team I want to shout out, and I had Peyton Robb on the show yesterday. If you missed that interview or missed that show, go back and check it out. Talk about, it's basically a flesh-eating disease that he had and he battled, came back, didn't just come back, competed at a high level. Won 4 times as many matches as he lost after being a 4-time All-American and battling back from necrotizing fasciitis. And he told me I said that right, and I practiced, so I was happy to hear that I said it right when I interviewed him yesterday. And he made it all the way to nationals. Won his last match, finished 7th. Now, he wanted to finish higher, but I still think that's pretty incredible. The men's wrestling team, if you missed that interview, 5 All-Americans, second most in the entire country. Top 10 finish, their 9th top 10 finish in the past 10 years. All right. Shout out to a couple of specific athletes. Jazz Shelley on a great career. She chose to come back for an extra year, the COVID year, to make a run here with Nebraska women's basketball, and she did that. I thought that was pretty cool. She thanked the fans on social media. So shout out to her and all the other seniors as well. All right, Keisei Tominaga, a guy that was a galvanizing figure for Nebraska basketball. Not just a good player, not just fun to watch, easy to root for. Played with a lot of emotion and passion, but a guy that was a galvanizing figure. Caught people's attention, brought more attention to Nebraska basketball. Good luck to him in the future. You got Nebraska men's gymnastics, who just won Okay, the regular season, at least a share, but of the regular season Big Ten championship. All right, so shout out to Nebraska men's gymnastics as well. And this morning, and the bowling team doesn't get as much publicity as some of the other programs, but they have I'm going to look them up on Twitter real quick, and I'm just going to read their bio because it's actually pretty impressive. All right. Proud members of the Big Ten Conference, 10 national championships, ladies and gentlemen. 10 national championships. All right, and here's what I shared this morning because they've qualified. They punched their ticket to the NCAA tournament. All right, Nebraska Bowling is the only program in the history to qualify for every national championship tournament since 2003 when the NCAA basically started promoting bowling. So I thought that was pretty cool. I like that. One final thought on the quarterback, the freshman, and the three guys in that room currently at the moment. Okay, because as I was going through the screenshots, I forgot I had a screenshot of this. It was mentioned by someone else that if you have three quarterbacks, you have no quarterbacks. And I thought that was interesting because the old saying is you have two quarterbacks, you have no quarterbacks. Okay, it depends on how those are used. I've never hated the old Cordell Stewart slash, okay? But if you got two guys who are like 50-50, two quarterbacks, you kind of have no quarterbacks. So when this individual said you got three quarterbacks, you have no quarterbacks, in my mind, I was like, man, what a problem that would be to have. Oh, my goodness. To have three quarterbacks who are good enough to be starters. Because right now, we don't know that any of them, two of them have never taken a collegiate snap. Two of them just took their first collegiate practice snap this week. They all three are highly touted and recruited. That includes Heinrich Harburg, who's a top 20 dual threat quarterback in the entire country. And we know Daniel Kaelin's Elite 11. We know Elite 11 quarterback. Okay. And we know that Dylan Rhule is the highest ranked recruit Nebraska's ever had. So three talented guys, but nobody that's incredibly proven. So I would love it if one of them emerged. If all three emerged, man, what a problem that would be to have when you have question marks right now surrounding all of them, just due to mostly inexperience. All right. So, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to talk a little bit about Dion and the Buffs, Coach Prime. Okay. But first, and then we're going to talk a little bit NCAA basketball as well. But first, I want to head to break. And then I'm going to chat with Nebraska Football Hall of Famer, Nebraska Governor Jim Pillen. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
Ironhide Construction is hiring. They're looking for hardworking, self-motivated individuals who are team players. Ironhide Construction has openings for an experienced project manager, estimator, apprentice, skilled laborer, and erector or installer. They will train the right people and make sure you understand the position and requirements. At Ironhide Construction, it's own it, be honest, and do it right. Apply today and learn more about their other benefits at ironhideconstruction.com. where they're committed to you every step of the way.
Get rid of pesky critters once and for all with Bats to Rats. Their expert team is here to help you reclaim your home. No more sleepless nights caused by crawling critters or flapping wings. Bats to Rats ensures a safe environment for every family member. Check the website at batstorats.com for amazing offers. And if you mention this ad, you'll receive $10 off your initial inspection cost. Call Bats to Rats today at 402-781-8691. That's 402-781-8691. Bats to Rats.
Are you working in or looking to get into the electrical construction industry? The electrical workers of Local Union 265 are now hiring licensed journeymen and apprentices and are offering great pay and benefits. Call Mike at 402-875-1034 to apply. Start your electrical career today.
NEBCO is hiring CDL drivers for ready-mixed concrete, Husker concrete, and Beatrice concrete. NEBCO offers great pay, medical and retirement benefits, paid time off, and they pay for CDL training. Apply today and start your new career with a $2,500 hiring bonus. From NEBCO's beginning in 1908, it's the employees that have formed the company's solid foundation. Start your career today. Visit nebcoinc.com. That's NEBCOINC.com.
The Omaha Supernovas are back in action this Saturday, March 30th versus the Vegas Thrill at CHI Health Center in Omaha. The Mullen Motors pregame show with Derek Pearson and Renee Saunders starts at 5 p.m. with first serve at 6. Make sure to tune in to the next Ag Appraisal and Realty postgame show right after the match ends. Catch all the action on your flagship station, 93.7 The Ticket, and statewide on the Supernovas Radio Network.
93.7 The Ticket, Fox, KFXL weather. Brought to you by Bryant Air Conditioning, Heating, Electrical, and Plumbing.
Your Lincoln forecast for today, we'll see partly sunny skies. It will be very mild, afternoon high expected around 70. Tonight, partly cloudy skies with an overnight low around 35. And tomorrow, we'll see partly sunny skies return. A little cooler, though. We'll see a high around 58. I'm meteorologist Kyle Clutcher for 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
With the Planet Fitness Black Card, you don't just get a great workout, you get a great perk out because your membership is packed with perks. For $1 down and $24.99 a month, you'll get perks like access to any of our 2,400 clean and spacious locations. Bring a friend anytime and both work out with tons of equipment that'll give you that big fitness energy. Relax in the Black Card spa and more. Work out and perk out with the PF Black Card. Join for just $1 down and $24.99 a month.
Hurry, this deal ends soon.
See Home Club for details.
I see the future in our public school classrooms every day. I'm Jenny Benson, president of the Nebraska State Education Association. I also see how critically important parent and community support is to our students' success. Support your public schools. Get involved. Form a business school partnership or become a school volunteer. Great schools and great communities work hand in hand.
Sponsored by the Nebraska State Education Association, aired by the Nebraska Broadcasters Association and this station.
Big box stores are tempting for buying equipment for your high schooler in sports or for yourself in your sports leisures. But buying new is awfully expensive. Why not go somewhere with new and used options? Play It Again Sports is quality, slightly to gently used equipment, and 50% of their inventory is actually new equipment. And it's more than baseball, softball, and golf. They also have equipment for disc golf, fitness, hockey, and more. Plus, they're always buying products. Bring your gear you're done with and get trade money on the spot. Play It Again Sports at 48th and Vine.
Action Plumbing, Heating, Air, and Electric brings exciting career opportunities for you or someone you know. They are now hiring plumbers, electricians, and HVAC techs and installers to continually build their professional team. They offer competitive pay and full benefits packages that include health, dental, vision, PTO, and 401k options. Action has created a positive team environment for over 50 years. Apply online at actionlincoln.com.
You're listening to Adam Carricker on The Ticket on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to Adam Carricker on The Ticket. I'm now pleased to bring on my special guest. This man is a Husker great, Nebraska's current governor, a multi-time black shirt, two-time first-team All-Big 8 performer, Nebraska football Hall of Famer. And he played one of my favorite named positions ever, the monster position. All right. And he also recovered, as I mentioned earlier, the fumble, clinching the victory in 1978 Nebraska over number 1 Oklahoma. The fumble was by Heisman Trophy winner, Mr. Billy Sims. How you doing, my friend, Mr. Jim Pillen?
Hey, Adam, I'm really good. You call me Jim, not Mr. You make me feel too old when you do that. How you doing?
I'm doing good. And I appreciate you joining me. So I'm going to be honest. The first question I got, Trev Alberts, talk to me about Trev Alberts going to A&M. I know it's yesterday's news, but I haven't had a chance to chat with you about it, and then we'll move forward after that.
You know, we all make decisions based on what we think is best for our family and for us. And, you know, I feel really bad for Trev that he came to that conclusion. Wish him well. He's a Husker. He's not an Aggie. He's in foreign territory, and I'm pretty sure he's probably waking up realizing that.
All right. So the leadership at Nebraska, there was a lot of conversations about that. You even sent out a message about the Board of Regents, things of that nature. How are you feeling now when it comes to the leadership throughout the University of Nebraska, the Board of Regents, et cetera?
Yeah, well, I think that in the end, I certainly respect everybody on the Board of Regents. You know, I was disappointed that it took them 3 months to put a search committee together. I felt that Ted Carter should have been moved on immediately. I told Ted that myself. When you take a job and then you stay for 4 or 5 months, you know, that doesn't make any sense. We'd never do that in business. You go broke doing that. So those are just fundamental principles that I think that, would encourage differently. Board of Regents has selected Chancellor Gold, and I've worked with Chancellor Gold on the Board of Regents for 10 years, and we'll work together as long as I'm governor and work together and make things great for Nebraska. That's what we do. That's a necessity. That's what'll take place.
So people, I've heard nothing but positive things about Chancellor Gold. He appears to be the president to be. So what can you tell the fine folks who'd like to learn a bit more about the individual who certainly appears to be our next president? What should the people of Nebraska know about him?
Well, Chancellor, there's nobody that will work harder than Chancellor Gold. He doesn't require a lot of rest. He's got a lot of energy. He's got a lot of passion. He's a trained engineer. He grew up real poor in New York City, and the only way he could go to school is on a scholarship to become an engineer. And then after he became an engineer, he found his way into medical school, and he became a thoracic cardiac surgeon, pediatric. So he used to do surgeries on children's hearts that were the size of a walnut. So he's a very, very detailed person, intellectually extraordinarily gifted. I think my time while he became chancellor of UNMC shortly after I became a regent, and I think we did over $1 billion of program statement growth. So he provided extraordinary leadership in the growth of UNMC and in healthcare across the state of Nebraska. So, that's his track record. That's what his area is. But now I look forward to working with him to make sure that we can transfer that kind of energy and growth into a lot of the other aspects outside of the healthcare community.
I'll tell you what, the cardiac surgeries on kids hits home with me. My daughter Addison is now 12. Before she was born, some people may remember this. It was obviously over 12 years ago, but we found out through some of the scans that they were doing before she was born, while Angie was pregnant with her, that she had a coarctation of the heart. And so what they told us is as soon as she's born, she's going to have to be taken away. We're going to have to do a surgery right away. And I asked them, I said, well, had we not found this, what would have happened? They said, well, one day you would have found a blue baby, is what they told us. So anyways, long story short, she's born. They do an immediate, I forget what it's called. It's been a dozen years now, but they look at the heart again. Everything looks clear. It's like, holy cow. And we had a bunch of people praying for, a lot of support. We really appreciate to this day. They waited 48 hours. They scanned the heart again. Again, I don't remember the medical term, looked clear again. And she never had to have the surgery. She has no scars anywhere near her heart. So when you said that, man, that hit home with me. Yep. All right, let's talk about.
Hey, it's Good Friday. God is good all the time.
Yes,
that's
absolutely.
What's a miracle there.
For sure. And it's interesting because they're like, she may never be able to play, sports that require a lot of running. Well, now she plays basketball and she does track, and it's just a miracle to watch her do these things now. So, but let's talk about the AD search. Now, interim president Chris Kaborik made the announcement. Troy Dannen's our new athletic director. I'm curious how much you may or may not have been a part of that search. It kind of sounds like Kaborik was leading that and had the major part of that. They came to an agreement at 3:51 in the morning or something like that. But how much a part, or were you aware of what was going on during that search for the new AD?
I think all of us that ever had the chance to be a part of the Nebraska program, and I think we all remember vividly, Coach would tell us, this is your program, this is our program, and you stand behind the program. I love the University of Nebraska program. I've supported it ever since I graduated, and no matter who's in charge, supported and did whatever I was asked to do. And so I worked with Chris for 10 years on the Board of Regents, have an extraordinary amount of confidence and in him and believe in him. And he asked me if I'd be a cheerleader, and I said, heck yeah, I sure will. And so, I called, and my involvement was making sure that Troy knew exactly what the University of Nebraska, the state of Nebraska, the people of Nebraska, and our athletic department have a pretty good handle on the financial aspects of it. And so, yeah, I cheerleaded for the athletic department and for the state of Nebraska and the people of Nebraska.
What are your initial impressions of the new AD, Troy Dannen?
Yeah, Troy Dannen's he's just Nebraska through and through. He's a very accomplished public servant. You know, he served, I think, 16, 17 years with high school activities in association in Iowa. He was 8 years AD at Northern Iowa, and then he was 8 years at AD at Tulane and down in New Orleans, and turned that football program in from nothing to playing in Cotton Bowl. So, you know, he knows how to build a team of winners. He's a winner. You know, he uses, I like to say, he treats nickels like manhole covers, but he knows how to invest and use money to win.
All right, let's talk a little bit of football, shall we? So talk to me about the direction, your thoughts on the direction of the football program and year two as we head into year two under head coach Matt Rhule.
Yeah, you know, I'm a Coach Rhule fan. I think that the other piece of the fit with our new AD is he'll fastly become a blood brother with Coach Rhule. Really important more than ever now, in my humble opinion, that our athletic director is elbow to elbow with our football coach, because whatever it takes to make sure we win at Nebraska football now is essential for the future of the Big Ten. As things will change again in another 7 years. And so I believe Coach Rhule is one of the top 5 coaches in college football, and probably his ability to build relationships and know how much they care. His experience in a few years in the NFL with the NIL is really valuable. And, you know, he's changed the culture almost overnight. You know, I think he's done incredible. When I heard the story, I don't know if everybody's heard it, about how last fall at the end of the season, Ty Robinson came in and asked if he could stay another year. Asked if he could. Wow. That's the kind of culture that Coach Rhule has. These kids believe in him. He's a football coach. He works nonstop. He'd be the closest thing that we've had as a coach since Coach Osborne to mirror how Coach Osborne does things. And he believes in physical football. You got to believe in physical. He doesn't believe in out scheming opponents. He believes in busting them in the mouth. That's how you win football games, in my opinion.
Gotta love that. And to have a player ask to stay in this day and age is going to be incredibly rare.
I get goosebumps telling that story. Right?
That's awesome.
I love this place. I get goosebumps when I tell that.
All right, so you're a defensive guy. I'm a defensive guy. Obviously, everyone's excited to have Tony White back. Give me your thoughts on having Tony White back, and just how good can the Black Shirts be this year, do you think?
Well, it looks to me like when you have the heart and soul of your whole defense back, obviously losing 2 linebackers, but the linebackers coming back look like they're going to be every bit as good as the Reimers and Heinrich kid. And then you got all the talent up front, the strength there, and the secondary is going to be off the charts. So looks to me, and Coach White, you know, he's turned guys that couldn't make plays into making all Big Ten plays in a year's time. It would seem to me that they're going to keep people confused, and they got kids running as hard as you've ever seen in a long, long time. So I think our defense could be really, really special.
Yeah, at that linebacker spot, you got MJ Sherman, who's really talented coming back. You got Stephon Thompson, who has started under this Tony White system, transferring in from Syracuse. So I'm pretty excited about the whole defense as a whole. But when you were wondering about some of the guys who had left, we have really good guys. They're going to step up this year. All right, man, talk to me. And I know I interviewed you last summer, and I asked you this question then. But for those who didn't hear your answer, okay, the first 6 years, man, it was tough. Osborne trying to get that first win over Oklahoma. Number 1 OU comes in. Billy Sims, the Heisman Trophy winner. To be, not yet. They're going in. They're trying to score to take the lead. They fumble. You recover that ball and help seal the win for the Big Red. What was it like because I actually just watched the video yesterday. I looked it up knowing I was going to interview you today. You're running off the field, holding the ball in the air. What was that moment like? What was the atmosphere like in the stadium that day?
Well, it was it was off the charts. It was one of those iconic moments. It's crazy, that's 45 years ago, and I still, where I go, I'll have people come up and say, "Jim, here's where I was when that took place." It was just one of those moments in Coach Osborne's career. It was one of those special days at Memorial Stadium that longtime Husker fans remember, and it was just incredible to be a part of it. We just had a no-name defense, just a bunch of guys cared about each other, worked hard. We hit the heck out of them, and as I say, I just fell on the ball. Jeff Hansen made the hit. Shep with the groundskeeper, if he didn't put extra white paint on that 5-yard line, I probably wouldn't have tripped and made the fumble recovery. So, but it was special stuff. It's a great memory. Just special times. And the coolest part of the whole thing that I've told this story a number of times, but, Coach Osborne, when you think about being in a locker room that had nobody ever beat Oklahoma, and, what it took for a full year, because my junior year, we got wiped out in Norman. And so coming up that year, we worked every day in spring. We worked every day in fall camp. We worked every day all season long, 15 minutes on arc block and doing things. And so Coach Osborne gave us, there was no shadow of a doubt, we were winning the game. There was 100% belief, not a shadow of a doubt. And that's why we won. We sure as heck weren't better than them. They were way better football team, but we had the gift of belief, and that transformed my life. The gift of belief. If you believe, you can do anything.
Well, you were better than they were on that day. All right. My last question for you.
We won that game that day.
Yes, yeah. Absolutely. So last question I got for you. Can we get a throw the bones before we let you go?
Throw the bones. I think I throw the bones for this fall. I'll throw the bones for this fall that we will have a football team that we'll get back to expecting and believing they're going to win every game. And if they don't, we'll be disappointed. But we'll be disappointed and proud. That'd be my bones.
All right. I want to thank you for joining me. Appreciate your time. Don't go anywhere, ladies and gentlemen. We'll be right back.
Are you tired of living in pain? It's time to take control. At Prairie Orthopedic and Plastic Surgery, we're your one-stop shop for expert care in Lincoln. From broken bones to complex reconstruction, our skilled team will help you get back on track. Visit prairieortho.com today and discover why we're the trusted choice for thousands of patients. Don't let pain hold you back. Take the first step towards a better, pain-free life with Prairie Orthopedic and Plastic Surgery, where healing begins. Call 402-489-4700.
Problem gambling affects millions of Americans daily, of all ages and walks of life. If you or a loved one is struggling with addiction, contact Choices Treatment Center's 24-hour helpline at 402-476-2300. That's 402-476-2300. Big box stores are tempting for buying equipment for your high schooler in sports or for yourself in your sports leisures. But buying new is awfully expensive. Why not go somewhere with new and used options? Play It Again Sports has quality, slightly to gently used equipment, and 50% of their inventory is actually new equipment. And it's more than baseball, softball, and golf. They also have equipment for disc golf, fitness, hockey, and more. Plus, they're always buying products. Bring your gear you're done with and get trade money on the spot. Play It Again Sports at 48th and Vine.
Hey guys, Jake Sorensen here from Early Break. The garage door at our house has been needing replacement for a couple years, and a few months ago, we finally did something about it. Steve's Garage Doors and Services was great through the whole process in providing options and also going to the next level to get a door that was approved by our HOA. And best of all, the removal of the old door and installation of the new door was done smoothly with no issues. Call Steve's Garage Doors and Services today at 402-480-2840.
93.7 The Ticket, Fox, KFXL weather. Brought to you by Bryant Air Conditioning, Heating, Electrical, and Plumbing.
Your Lincoln forecast for today, we'll see partly sunny skies. It will be very mild, and high expected around 70. Tonight, partly cloudy skies with an overnight low around 35. And tomorrow we'll see partly sunny skies return. A little cooler, though. See a high around 58. I'm meteorologist Kyle Collector for 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Rico here with HIS Auto Care at 70th and Van Dorn, letting you know HIS is a great place to bring your vehicle for service. With superior service bumper to bumper, we'll treat your vehicle like it's your mother's. Doesn't get any better than that. So call 402-488-8934 and HIS Auto will make you glad you did. 5% off, mention this ad, and for sure your mother will be proud you called. 402-488-8934, HIS Auto Care, 70th and Van Dorn. God bless you.
At Parkview Animal Hospital in Lincoln, it's not just the professional care that sets them apart, but their warm staff and state-of-the-art facilities. Whether it's for a routine checkup or a comprehensive medical procedure, at Parkview, your pet isn't just another number, but a valued member of their caring family. Visit them at pahlincoln.com today and in person just south of 14th and Pine Lake Road. Parkview Animal Hospital, your pet, our passion. For happier, healthier furry friends.
The Stars are home this weekend for a pair of pivotal Western Conference games. It all begins on Friday night as the Sioux Falls Stampede come to town for a 7:05 p.m. puck drop. Don't miss Down Syndrome night the next day on Saturday with the action getting started at 6:05. Haven't been out to a Stars game yet this season? Don't miss out because only 3 weeks are left in the regular season. Tickets are available at LincolnStars.com.
Spring is here. It's time to get back outside and into proper shoes this year. Brown Shoe Fit is the place to buy this spring with their sale on athletic shoes. Get $15 off any regular price athletic shoes with respected brands like Hoka, Brooks, New Balance, and On Running. And don't forget, Browns carries a large arrangement of sizes and widths to fit your feet properly. Start your spring off right at Brown Shoe Fit, just south of 66th and Q in Lincoln.
Introducing The Outlet by Sartor Heyman. The Outlet brings you luxurious Sartor Heyman quality jewelry at unbeatable prices. Shop our expansive inventory of overstocked merchandise and a vast estate collection that just hasn't found its home yet. This is your chance to own stunning designer jewelry at a fraction of the cost. Elevate your style at The Outlet by Sartor Heyman, where luxury and affordability meet. Downtown at 12th and O or online at sartorheyman.com.
At Southeast Community College, community is our middle name. Our continuing education classes offer personal interest, traffic safety and licensing, online learning, and adult education classes across Southeast Nebraska or online in your own home. Learn pottery or floral design, take a computer course, learn Spanish, how to start writing a book, or Air Fryer 101. See the full schedule of continuing education classes online at southeast.edu/continuing. SCC, your path to possible.
Happy hour. How's life treating you, man?
Here's why the people don't really respond to your questions, Nick. Are we in the circle of truth? You really want to know why? Because the feeling when you ask those questions is not very genuine. You really don't care about our feelings. You only care about Nick.
You make me sound so
It
bad.
is. You really only care about Nick.
I do care.
No, you do not.
If I didn't care, I wouldn't ask you. You only ask that question because it seems nice.
And you want to look good on the street.
That's not it at all.
It makes you sound like a nice person. You don't care. You don't care how
You
much
really
it
don't.
was.
It's cool.
Weekdays from 1 to 2 on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com. On the Block with Strick and Austin.
I think about all the infrastructure that got built up behind the scenes by Coach Osborne, that Coach Solich took over, and then some of that infrastructure was eroded. Matt Rhule still has to prove this, but I think Matt Rhule's style is that, yeah, he'd like the infrastructure in place, but I think Matt Rhule has the personality to do everything in his power to bend it to the way he wants it.
Weekdays from 2 to 4 on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com. You're listening to Adam Carricker on The Ticket on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Boom. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to Adam Carricker on The Ticket. We got about 10 minutes left in this fine program. I forgot to talk about the People's Show or People's segment and promote it throughout the show. Let it just be known. Send in your questions, comments, thoughts, concerns, and or otherwise. The number is always the same, 402-464-5685. You can also send them in on YouTube as well. I will always respond, always read and react. All right, Brandon Smith said, hit that like button and subscribe. Love it. Just because I don't promote it doesn't mean it isn't a standing offer to the people. Every single show, the last 8 to 10 minutes of this fine program is the people's segment. Now, I just got done interviewing Husker legend. I combined great and legend. Husker legend and Nebraska Football Hall of Famer, current governor, Nebraska Governor Jim Pillen. Go back and check that out. You can find it on YouTube, all the Sound Only podcast platforms. If you missed it, some of the most recent interviews as well. Peyton Robb, four-time All-American wrestler, head Nebraska women's basketball coach Amy Williams, Husker legend Stephen Warren, Husker legend Chris Dishman, Mike Stuntz, who was my host on my recruiting visit. We got lost that night, but he did a phenomenal job. Throwing the ball to Eric Crouch in that number 1 versus 2 Oklahoma-Nebraska game back in 2001 for that long touchdown reverse pass to clinch the game. All right, let's see who else we got here. Go back and check out all those interviews if you missed any of those. Those are some of the recent ones. And Luke McCaffrey, former Nebraska quarterback, Louisville quarterback for a week, Rice wide receiver, working out for the NFL draft, and now will be joining me next week. Couple of quick thoughts before I get to Coach Prime, before I get to the NCAA tournament. All right, final thoughts on the 3 quarterbacks situation for today, because we're going to talk about it like 9 million more times before game 1, and then we'll talk about it like 9 million more times after game 1, I'm sure. To be clear, we have 3 quarterbacks who all have the talent to start right now. The question mark is the experience and how quickly do they learn. I'm looking forward to that process. And there's so many Husker sports that are doing well. I try to shout out and show as much love as I can to everybody. I try to do that as much, or anybody that I talk to anyways. I try to do the best I can. There was one I forgot earlier, to shout out specifically for today anyways, and that's Nebraska softball. Played in the snow a week or 2 ago. That was pretty freaking awesome. Snow place like Nebraska, ladies and gentlemen. All right, they're on a 2-game winning streak. Both those wins are over Illinois. All right, let's see what else we got here before I dive into Coach Prime in the NCAA tournament. Final thoughts on bowling. So there's some things that I'm really, really bad at. Singing. I can actually rap somewhat, sort of. Playing an instrument and drawing. I absolutely suck at all those things. The only thing that I might be worse at, because I was talking about Nebraska bowling earlier, than all those things, is bowling. I'm pretty sure I could bowl left-handed better than my right hand. And it's not because I'm left-handed or I bowl left-handed. I don't bowl often. And then when I do bowl, I'm reminded of why I don't bowl often, because I'm too competitive and I'm not very good. All right, Coach Prime. All right, he wasn't very happy with the Colorado Buffaloes. Again, put a smile on my face. Apparently, they looked a lot like they did last year. Now, a couple of thoughts. To be fair, I mean, we're in week 1 of spring ball. But this is a coach's job. This is a coach's job, is to hold you to a high standard, a higher level, of expectations, high level of expectations. It's amazing what people can do when they expect more out of themselves. You expect less, you're going to get less. You get more, maybe you get everything you were expecting, or maybe you come close, which is far more than expecting less out of yourself. So, I know I'm saying something positive about Coach Prime. How dare I on a Nebraska show? My point is, I get where he's coming from. It did make me chuckle, though. They had some fights during their practice, and apparently they looked a lot like they did last year. Now, Shedeur Sanders, supposed to be one of the top quarterbacks in the country. They brought in 6 brand new offensive linemen. Hopefully 5 of them are halfway decent if you're a Colorado fan, because they were all awful last year. Coach Prime wants to protect his son, so he brought in like 99 offensive linemen. Hopefully some are halfway decent if you're a Buffs fan. And then Shedeur has got all those athletes around him. I mean, that hasn't changed. They're all back this year. But I just thought it was interesting. He was getting mad at them. And here's what stood out to me. If I was to underline what I saw from this video, much like I underlined Matt Rhule's words earlier in this show, things that stood out. If I was to underline what stood out to me in the video, I don't think Coach Prime, and this is why he was so upset, was talking about necessarily their play. Because you understand it's week 1. When you talk about how you looked last year, the way I took it, it was about the attitude, the lack of discipline. As that was their biggest issue as the season went along. They just fell apart. Stanford was awful in football. And why they're in the ACC, my Lord. College football is upside down, sideways, and on top of its head, and then some. When you got a university that can look out their back window, see the Pacific Ocean, yet they're playing in a league that's on the Atlantic Ocean. But I digress. Stanford was awful last year. You had a 29-point lead at home, in the altitude, at halftime, and they lost. If you watch the second half of that Stanford game, they just fell apart. First of all, Travis Hunter played well over 100 plays. I think it was actually closer to 150, and he got torched in the second half, but I put that on Coach Prime, not him. For me, There was a lack of discipline. There was a selfish ball that was going when I watched Colorado as the season unfolded. And I think that's what's bothering him right now. I'm curious to see how that Colorado team progresses. We play them week 2. But beyond that, I'm just curious. They're interesting to me because of Coach Prime. No other reason, but because of Coach Prime. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we got this little thing called the NCAA tournament. Last night's games. UConn, number 1 seed, torches the 5th seed is San Diego State Aztecs. Now, San Diego State's pretty good at basketball. I mean, they are. They lost by 30 points to the defending national champions, who are the favorites to win it again. And yes, I went out on 0 limbs when I predicted in my NCAA bracket that UConn would win again. Now, we'll see if they actually do or not, but UConn looks really good right now. They're into the Elite 8. North Carolina, the most veteran-laden team in the tournament. Their starting age of their starting 5 is 22.2 years old. The starting age of the Oklahoma City Thunder's starting 5 is 22.6 years old. I really thought that would help North Carolina. Alabama, yeah, I guess they play basketball the past couple of years. 4-seeded Alabama upsets North Carolina, a number 1 seed, 89-87. And here's the only thing that makes that worse than Alabama winning in another sport is they are the only institution in America that had a college football team into the college football playoff and into the Sweet 16 and now into the Elite frickin' 8. They're going to play Clemson in the Elite 8 because Clemson apparently plays basketball too, upset a team that I had into the Final Four, which was Arizona. 2-seeded Arizona loses 77-72 to the 6-seeded Clemson Tigers. Clemson and Alabama are going to play in basketball because they haven't played enough in football yet. And then Illinois, 3-seed, 29-8. Close game against another 29-8 team, number 2-seeded Iowa State. Illinois gets the win, representing for the Big Ten champs into the Elite 8. Illinois is going to play UConn. Now, UConn is probably the better team, but Illinois has the athleticism. And on any given day, anybody can beat anybody. All right, final thoughts before that music plays. Austin's my producer today. Final thoughts, I'll keep it quick. NC State versus Marquette. I actually had NC State into the Elite 8. One of the few things, along with UConn, that I got right in this tournament. I've got Marquette beating NC State. Purdue versus Gonzaga, and Duke versus Houston, Tennessee versus Creighton. Those 3 games are all tonight, and they're incredibly intriguing to me. I have no idea who to really pick. I'm going to go with Purdue over Gonzaga, but man, Gonzaga looked good, dominating Kansas in their last game. Houston's a number 1 seed. I'm surprised Duke is a 4 seed. I'm going to go with Houston. 0 confidence in that. And Creighton and Tennessee, I'm going to go with Creighton. Don't call me a J-sker. Don't at me. That's just who I think is going to win the game. All right, hit the music. Until next time, Husker Nation, have a phenomenal weekend. Go Big Red. And always remember to throw the ball.